that is just as overlooked and just as ignored often as other groups. And so what we see is that corporate publishing, larger press publishing, tends to be looking for one kind of story from the South. Whether that's Civil War stuff or magnolias and sweet tea and all of that kind of stuff, like very beachy stuff. And that tends to be where all Southern, especially fiction, kind of goes into those little pots. And so our mission is really just finding anything that is, exciting and different. Like for an example, I always give, we published a novel called The Prettiest Star by Carter Sickles. And it was a story, he had trouble selling it to a New York publisher. And based on the fact that it was a story about a man who moves from New York City back to rural Ohio, Kentucky border. And he has AIDS, and he basically is kind of, coming into contact with his whole family before he dies. And the response that we had heard, or he had heard, was that AIDS was more of a urban story. It wasn't a rural story, which is sort of ignoring the fact that, the AIDS crisis was something that was nationwide and it affected communities, large, small, rural, urban, so that's what we're most excited by, is when we can find, whether it's a fiction, nonfiction, it doesn't matter, but like something that points to a story that's truer about the South and that often goes untold or overlooked.